Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Money Revelation podcast. Today's episode is kind of the next few episodes is going to kind of take a journey back. I feel like is important to talk about my original money journey, what got me into this, and what got me into wanting to pass it along the knowledge to others. I think it's really important. Um, you can go to my website at madelinefinancialcoaching.com and see kind of a summary of everything. But basically, it really started with me meeting my wife. I was 24 at the time. We met in 2010. Really didn't start getting like super serious in terms of combination of finances, talking about money until 2011. But it just, I was reminiscing the other day about a few things. And I think it's valuable to see where money coaches and financial advisors, everyone started. And I feel like I was in that position often, and a lot of clients and people I run into today, um, reminisce about that. And I think it matches up. My story is important as well, so everybody can see, you know the past is the past, and it's time to move on. So let's go to 2000 and 11, 12, and 13, right? So I really didn't know a lot about finances. I already kind of discussed this a lot when I met my wife, and she really got me going. At the time, I was in retail, and eventually we got engaged end of 2011, and so we were getting married in 2013, right? And I still felt like, even though she had been working with me and teaching me a lot and getting me hooked on the financial game, right? I had no savings. Working in retail back then, guys, was not a big payment, basically. You didn't get a lot. Um, while she was guiding me, getting married was coming up. You're locked in after that. You're jointing finances if you're not already, basically. At the time I was making, when we got married in 13, I think I wrote it down. I think it was $15 an hour roughly as a department manager in retail. I was still getting my MBA. I'm sorry, I got my MBA through 2014. So yeah, 2013, 2014. My student loans were over 70K, and I didn't have to make any major payments until, like, I think it was the end of 14 we decided. I think that's how it worked. It was like a 6 month leeway after that. Um, she basically had no debts. I mean, way more control when I met her of her money. She was blessed to get through college without taking out any student loans. Um, at the time, I was kind of questioning a lot, right? What if it was like too much what I was bringing into the relationship and the marriage? What if she didn't stick through it with me? Like, how am I supposed to achieve any dreams making $15 an hour, you guys? People complain now and say $15 an hour is not being able to live and have expenses. It's just not a livable wage now. Even in 2000 and 11, 12, and 13, 10, 12, 13 years ago, it was tough, you guys, especially when you had that kind of responsibility, a mortgage, you're getting married, you got student loans and all that. We felt the pain back then too. It just, what I'm going to end on it is, it's okay to feel lost. I was lost. I mean, that's explained there. It really is. It's okay that my partner was able to like get me back on track. I mean, my wife taught me everything at opening when I met her. And I was able to get hooked on finances and saving and everything else, and show why it was so important in our future and our future goals since we were married, to get out of this debt and find a way to make more money, and just like everything that most people are going through today. It made me stronger. It made us stronger as a couple. Um, it's tough because, like, I feel like, when you're making that kind of money, I mean, I'm trying to compare it now. It's even worse with inflation, right? $15 an hour is incomparable now from even 10 years ago. It's scary because I felt like we were always making a decision every other day. Like, do we spend it on this? Do we spend it on that? Do we spend this on that? Do we save for this? Do we do that? And it's the same today. I feel like couples are going through it right now. It's like, you know, scary. And so I think we just came up with a really good plan of, listen, we sat down over a weekend, and it doesn't have to be over a weekend, right? But we sat down and had the long discussion all weekend. We said, okay, let's map out our future. We just got married. We have a house. Um, Boy, it was like a scary moment because $15 an hour, and I think she was getting her master's at the time, and I don't remember. Oh, she was working at another job. I'll talk about it in a future episode, but making a decent amount, but I mean, it's still a lot of responsibility, right? So we sat down and we just really just hashed it out, I think. And we just said, all right, we want two kids. We want two kids. We adopted both our children. We can talk more about that in the future too, but adoption is not cheap. We want two dogs, two cats, two dogs, two kids in a house. So we had the house back in 13, 14. We moved in 14. We got married, got the house. We wanted to adopt two kids in the future. We wanted two dogs. At the time, we were just getting to our first dog, but that's all cost money, very expensive. And so that was our goals. And we sat down and she just admitted and said, listen, a big part of our goals not going to maximum goal lifestyle basically is $70,000 in student loan debt hanging over our heads now that we're married. And it was mine. And so we just sat down and said, listen, we have to map out a plan. It doesn't need to be crazy Dave Ramsey style and paid off and eat rice and beans for 18 months and that's it. But it does need to get eliminated from our lives in the future. And we did. It took years and years, but we also adopted kids, like I said, during the whole process. So that's why it took a little bit longer. But in 2021, we did pay those off. Obviously, if we didn't adopt kids, you know how that was. It probably would have taken 2.5, 3 years. I mean, but life came, adoption came, and everything else. And you have responsibilities too. So it was just so important to just sit there and admit, you know what? My wife, when I met her, and even in the first couple of years of our relationship, was better at finances than I was. It's okay to say that. But she taught me so much and she put my visions in. I didn't really have, okay, let's be real. When I met her, I didn't have any goals. Like, I didn't even know what a bank account was hardly. I have one. I remember that, right? And so I was just kind of skating by. Like, I think I was 20. Let's see, I met her in 10, so that'd be like 25, mid 20s, guys. I mean, 24 going on 25. And when I met her, and it's like I was just working retail and I didn't know. I mean, I thought money was just for, okay, you can 15 an hour, I don't know, remember how many hours I was working. I think it was full time or it was 32, 30 hours, whatever it was, and I just thought, all right, that all that money goes to, gas and going out into the bars and other things. Like I never thought about anything else. And then I met her and everything changed and she got me on track. But like I was lost and when she got me on track, that was beautiful. And then a couple years later, we really started rocking it out, guys. When we bought a house and everything else. And then we got our future and, our savings. And, I didn't even know where my 401k was going. I knew I had one and I had a good one, luckily, from being in retail for many years. And I kept that going over the years. But I didn't really know about investments and stuff like that until I got to like 2016 Comerica, my other job. So it's like, it took years and it took kind of being humbled and saying, wow, you're right. I don't know jack about this, and reading some books and bettering my knowledge on finances and just admitting that my spouse was better, my partner at the time. And then eventually my spouse was better at finances for a few years. And that's okay because then we got on the same page. And like I said, we just rocked and rolled. So that's like bit part of a story that I wanted to kind of introduce because I think it's important to talk about our past and how we learned from it and how we worked together as a couple and a partner to get where we were today. Yeah, more of that coming. Obviously, I want to do a couple episodes of just other stories. There's other financial things that happened in my lifetime in the last, 12 years, 13 years. And so I can't wait to tell you guys a little bit more about that. But for today, that is it. Thanks for joining me again on the episode of Money Revelation Podcast. And we'll see you next time. Stay blessed and positive.